Hi there, everyone. I'm Jason Bulmahn, Game Master for the Knights of Everflame, and today we're here to talk to Gina about Omelette. Hey there, Gina. Welcome.
Hello.
Today, what I'd like to do is go through the choices that went into making Omelette. The Omelette's not your full name, though. Your Omelette...
No, Omelette Stonebreaker.
Stonebreaker. Now, let's start with the big question.
Yes.
Omelette?
Omelette? Yeah. Okay, I can't take full credit for naming her, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
Basically, I was in Europe when we were making her. So I was in Prague, and I was sitting at breakfast being like, okay, so I gotta make a character. I'm gonna be a dwarf. And what kind of names would dwarves have? And my boyfriend just looked down, and he was eating an omelet, and he was like, Omelette's a fun name. I don't know if he was serious, but I was like, that is the most amazing name I've ever heard. Yes, no other names I accept. Like, it has to be. And so I built the entire thing around that.
So if you were lucky, it wasn't like you were having eggs Benedict,
it would have been
or
anything.
Crepes, or pancakes.
No, it would have been that.
Yeah. So the name came before the backstory.
Yes.
Oh, all
right.
right.
Built the whole backstory around the name Omelette. It was like, why would she be named Omelette?
Yeah.
Now we have to find out.
Yeah, all right. Why don't you recount that story for us? The reason why, because we revealed it in season 1.
Yes.
Yeah. In a drunken stupor.
Slur. The reason her name is Omelette is because her family had 15 girls, and they were waiting for a boy to send to Lastwall, as is family tradition at this point. And they always used to say, you gotta break a few eggs to get an omelet. And on the 15th, by the time the 16th girl came around, they decided that I was the omelette.
Yeah, and your mom at that point was just like, no, that's it. We're not having any more
No
children.
more, no more.
That's it. So this is it. This is what we're working with. Yeah. We already spoiled that you decided to play a dwarf. So when we talk about characters in Pathfinder, we often talk about building them via your ABCs, your ancestry, your background, and your class. So ancestry for you is dwarf, but you have a heritage that I'm not sure we've really talked about on the show.
Oh, no.
Really at all. I'm not sure if you want to spoil it here or not, but
Ooh, I mean, I can.
Sure. Well, let's chat about it a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am ancient-blooded.
Ancient blooded. Now, what's that do for you?
So basically, I'm resistant to magic because I have the flow of my ancestry envelops and protects me.
Well, that's an interesting part of your character too, because the lineage of the Stonebreaker clan is a big part of your story. So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Right. The fact that your clan has been serving in Lastwall for what, like 1,000 years? Yeah. Let's talk about the second choice you made for Omelette, which was your background.
Yes.
Now, what did you choose there?
I picked martial discipline.
Okay.
And I picked that because I'd sort of built this whole history of my family serving at Lastwall and me being the baby of my family and sort of having to catch up with my destiny and being immediately sent to train with my father and train at local...
in the local militia.
And things like that. So that was kind of where she kind of grew up, just fighting and not really being part of her family's sort of business and that just sort of being her path from the get-go.
Yeah. Now, you're from the Five Kings mountain range.
Yes, yeah.
And so for you, like, the martial tradition there is very strong.
Yeah.
And it obviously makes sense because you were being trained from a young age to go join the army after your mom said no more kids. Yeah, all right, fair enough. So let's get to the meat of what makes Omelette tick, and that was your choice of class. And you went barbarian.
I did.
Yeah. So, not a lot of people know this because we didn't really talk about it too much in the first season, but everybody started out at 5th level. And about halfway through season 1, spoilers, the group made it to 6th level.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the choices you made when it comes to being a barbarian.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the feats and some of the choices you made within that. And the biggest choice you get to make within the barbarian class is what is your instinct.
Yes.
Yeah. Where did you go with that?
I went all spirit. I'm full family. I wanted to make a full very dedicated, very rich family life for her. Very big family.
Yeah.
Not just her sisters, but like the stone and everything. So when I leveled up, really my choices for level up was because of my great axe.
Yeah.
There's a handy dandy fun crit mechanic that when that happens, I get to keep swinging straight through another foe. So when I saw cleave, I was just, so excited that if I happen to crit or kill the person, just bam, 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 bam. Just so many times I get to strike.
We saw that at the end of season 1, right?
Yeah.
So, one of the things that I loved about season 1 was as we went through the season, everybody really started to click on what their abilities were. It was the first time playing a lot of these characters, and you jump in at 5th level, and that can kind of leave you kind of going, how do I make this character work? And you hit that point in the final battle of Cassim where you just ran up and, like, with one action, cut through like 3 undead.
Yep.
And everyone else at the table, me included, was just like, what's happening here?
It felt amazing because I've said before I usually play magic users, so this was the first time I've ever felt like I put the correct Lego pieces in place to do an epic turn without feeling like I hit a thing. Next, it felt like, I set it up right, and I get to just flick the dominoes, and now everything gets to be destroyed.
Yeah, so the Spirit Rage allows you to call upon the spirits of your ancestors to deal extra positive or negative damage, which helped a lot against the undead in season 1. So that's been really exciting. Are there any other feats or choices you made in building Omelette that you want to talk about, or anything else that maybe is a little different or maybe a little unusual that you want to showcase or highlight?
Some unusual? Well, I had definitely built some stuff into her from the get-go that was just, I picked a lot of feats that were what I thought she would have grown up doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I have things like catfall and rock running and things that I would have imagined she would have done as a child because I really wanted her to move.
Yeah.
There's like this image of barbarians in your head that are just slow and heavy and maybe not so bright. And
there's kind of a lumbering
just a
thing,
lumbering, just violence machine. And she's that, but she definitely, she moves. I wanted her to be feisty and have a lot of mobility because I didn't want to be limited by heavy armor and heavy-footed and all that stuff. So,
well, you can certainly get around the battlefield.
Very much. I wanted a parkour barbarian is what I wanted. I wanted to like jump off of walls and slam things and that's kind of my imagination of when I was creating her.
You touched on one thing that I want to touch on that I find so refreshing and unique with Omelette, and that is you're not gruff. You're not. You're a barbarian, but you don't just have the frown on your face all the time. You're like the happiest, most exuberant barbarian I've ever seen, and it's a real delight.
Thanks. Yeah, that was definitely a thing that I wanted from when I picked barbarian, just as a. This is a thing I have never even come close to playing with mechanics or RPing at all, and so I really wanted to try and do that, and I always like to try to be the exact opposite, see if the exact opposite personality can work in that setting, and played around with it of just, what does a really happy barbarian look like? And it turns out, a very small dwarf named Omelette.
Well, I want to thank you so much for stopping by, and for all of you watching at home, if you want to catch more of Omelette's adventures, tune in to Season 2 of Knights of Everflame. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.